create superheroes around you. That's how you create like Avengers.
Nah. Save that for the pod.
Save
What
that
are
for
you
the pod.
saying, bro. What?
Software update. Nah, that's what I'm saying. I'm ready to fucking talk.
Are we rolling?
Oh, we're rolling?
Okay.
On both, on everything?
Oh,
And it's
everything.
recording on here?
Okay. How's it sounding?
You do it. You do the
Bro,
honors.
you look like a better clapper.
Hey, yo.
We good? All right, so we're starting. Okay, so sharing the codes. I think before we talk about sharing the codes, maybe we need to define what the codes are.
Yeah.
Software. And wait. And
okay.
What is a software update? Where does the name come from? And why is it the name of this?
Software update, in a way, could be another name for sharing the codes, because I think as we're learning about ourselves as artists in the space that we're in, it allows us to have exactly that software update. But going back to sharing the codes is not the fear of you telling something to somebody that you just learned in fear that they're going to do something with that information that's like better than what you're currently doing. Yeah. And I think the whole premises of this podcast is to be in our most humble selves and let the audience know that we don't have all the answers. We don't have everything figured out.
Yes.
But we've had experiences within culture, within the cultural timeline, that allows our information to be valid to whoever it needs to be valid towards. But those walls, though.
You did say we were going to start there. Those walls, though. Okay, so
software update. Whenever you go into a building as an architect,
yes,
what is like the top 3 things that you're noticing off rip?
Okay, proportion is crucial. Typically, I first notice proportion in terms of like ceiling heights.
Okay.
So like if I walk into a space, like walking into MOTH, for example, fire. That was like Frank Lloyd Wright level shit. You know why? Because you walk into the room and you're met with like this like very compressive space. It's very tall. It's a very weird proportion, actually. Like, think about the last time you walked into something that was like 3 foot wide by like 20 feet tall. That's very rare. So
ironically, that was Mason's reference to why he did that. So
no way.
Yeah.
Wait, actually, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So like the fact that like, okay, when you walk into a space, there's a certain feeling you're met with, and then it can be like compression, expansion. So to me, proportion is super critical. I'm also thinking about like a lot of like textures and colors, right? Like materiality, I guess, is the best way to put it. So like, for example, the space we're in now, like there's clearly a story in the space. I'm already a fan of like antique and like, you know, industrial sort of like alteration type of architecture, right? Where you take something that exists, adaptive reuse, you make it do something new. Because it shows a lineage, right? And I think that's like kind of what, again, sharing the codes is like, you know, that recipe that your great grandma made that you still know how to cook with, like that's a recipe that has a lineage. And I was saying this yesterday, but like the concept of institutional knowledge, I don't think is as common as it should be. So like
the concept of institutional knowledge.
Yes.
Okay.
So institutional knowledge is,
I know okay.
So
give me yeah.
The recipe, right? The grandmother recipe, that is institutional knowledge, because what it is it's information that has been developed within a certain group of people, and then there have been efforts to maintain the longevity of that information through time. So just because great grandma's not here anymore doesn't mean that her information and her learnings and her recipes are gone.
It's a fucking bar.
So, but okay, so the reason it's called institutional though is like you're dealing with proper institutions like a Harvard, a Penn, MFA, a Manil, the government. Like, there's certain things that being a part of those institutions instills you with. It's like information literally that you gain by being in that space. The thing is, the most like robust and long living, I'm like rambling right now, but this makes so much sense. I'm
Software
thinking out
update.
loud. I could be totally wrong,
Software
and that's why this is
update.
a conversation.
Software
but in my head,
update.
it makes sense that like the institutions that have been around the longest are the ones that are most able to like codify their institutional knowledge. So like when you come and you join the military, you're not just like figuring out how to be in the military every time. It's like, nah, there's a way we do shit. This is information that we're going to give you, but when you leave, we still have that. And anybody who comes here can still have that. Military is probably a bad example because like, I don't
No,
wanna
that's
talk about
actually
the
a
military.
good example that you bring that up, because now that makes me think about how that's not what we're doing.
We're trying to make institutional knowledge.
Well,
We're trying to codify it. We're trying to make it to where the stuff that we see
mm-hmm.
doesn't just live and die by the people that we saw it with or with us, right? So it's like,
okay, yeah, okay, I see what
like,
you're saying. Yeah,
like we're like in sharing the codes. The whole premise of sharing the codes is like we want the codes to be institutionalized. Like we want the
Mhm.
codes to be something that like 2 decades from now, the kids know about. Okay, sometimes you got to finesse it. Sometimes you got to send that email. Sometimes you got to show up and shake that hand. Like,
yeah,
like, you know, going out even when you don't want to go out, and you don't got to drink. You know, I don't drink when I go out. I just kick it. You know, I have a vibe. I like loud music. So if you put me in a place with loud music, I'm there. But the concept of like being out with you when we're kicking it, and I'm just like meeting people and connecting dots, and people are having experiences, and I'm learning like, oh, this dude who lived in the same city as me, but 2 years later knows the same people I know, and the dots connect, right? Like Eames used to say that, right? Eventually, all the dots connect.
mm-hmm.
And so in a way, yeah, sharing the codes is like, we in our lives have seen dots. We've connected them in our own world, but then there's like, especially when you and I connected, we're able to kind of like close the loop on some of those connections, right? So like you've connected dots between, you know, stuff in fashion and stuff in New York and stuff in Houston, and then like we connect, and now there's like a whole new thread of connections to the same things that you know, and now you know them in a different way. And now same thing with me, like I know music in a different way.
And connecting and then having an output of that connection.
Oh yeah, input versus output, that ratio got to be
Like, I think
on
that's
point.
a part of like sharing the codes for me means is that you can have information,
Yes.
but it's what you do with that information is way more valuable than
Yes.
how you got that information, when you get the information.
Yes.
Even if you are one of the few people that was first to receive information.
Yes.
Anything that can be Googled,
Mm-hmm.
like, is up for anybody's interpretation.
Yes.
And I think where, from my personal experience, that has caused lack of growth in Houston is that this idea that we have ownership of consuming something.
Oh, like because you found it
Before-
first, or because you're
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
I completely dismantled that from how I think, how I move. And it's been like the most rewarding situation because I've been able to build community. And it took me
Mhm.
so long to figure out what that is.
Okay, so wait, we're gonna double click on that, because the whole concept to me of like that connects to like gatekeeping, right? The idea that we're trying to do like the Virgil,
Yeah,
like it's like
man,
the Virgil
like-
method, right? Is what we've been calling it. It's like the anti-gatekeepy. It's like, okay, I mean, I think there's going to be another episode where we get into the Virgil situation, right? Like history and how he's impacted us. But the Virgil method being like, look, I'm going to tell you guys everything. Like I'm sharing literally step by step how I did what I did.
And I think, sometimes I think about like, before I was like, oh yeah, with your cocky ass because you work for Kanye. But there's like a lot of moments where V and Kanye were able to experience culture and recreate culture in real time,
Mhm.
not knowing what the effects of what is going to be afterwards. So
Yes.
it's like to even put him in like that category of like, well, you already had it all figured out, so that's why you're willing to give the codes. I can't even put that on V.
Yeah, exactly.
That motherfucker didn't know that Yeezus was going to be one of the greatest hip hop albums of all time.
Right.
Like, he didn't know the impact of that one story that he has where Kanye made him hire this architect to like recreate the bedroom of this like hotel in Paris.
Oh, I don't know about this.
So yeah, like they had so yeah, like Ye was obsessed with this architect, or it was like vice versa, and like I think like Virgil was like, yo, we should have him like build you something in this hotel, and Ye was like, run it up. So they were like rebuilding a hotel. Like, not an apartment complex. Like, you don't, like, you get in a fucking apartment and you can really, these motherfuckers are doing renovations to a goddamn hotel. But, it's like.
Kids, do not try that at home.
Do not do that shit. But it's like moments like that where it proves Matthew Williams' theory right on how Kanye cloned himself into Virgil.
Okay, for those who don't know Matthew Williams.
For those who.
Humor me.
Matthew Williams was a part of Ben Trill.
Okay, bro.
But also,
what is Ben Trill? Ben Trill's like 10 years old, man.
I know.
Half of our audience was like 10.
I know. Well, I think we should get into that for like episode 2. So I'm gonna keep it like light.
Okay.
But to like really bring it back, Matthew Williams used to work for Lady Gaga. And
that is right. Wow, I forgot about that.
Yeah, Matthew Williams.
He was like his like creative director.
She was like, yeah. So Matthew used to work for Lady Gaga.
That was like,
that's
what, like 09 or something?
Yeah, he used to work for Lady Gaga for
Wait, time out. Wasn't Lady Gaga supposed to go on tour with Kanye?
Yes.
Glow in the Dark. And it got
canceled.
Wait, was it because Ye got canceled at the time?
I think it's because of Taylor Swift shit. Yeah. And ironically, I would imagine in my theory, like Matthew Williams being like, you know what? I'm actually going to fuck with you. And I'm not fucking with Lady Gaga.
Sorry, Lady Gaga.
Like when Kanye was like, I love Lady Gaga. What the fuck does she know about cameras? I think Matthew Williams was like, actually, I'm working with this dude right now because, anyway. So
yo, that's actually a bar. But that's a software update right there, though, right? Because like, in a way, what we're doing in real time and like what part of this is meant to do is to like record and give like document and like legitimacy to the fact that like we're putting pieces together. Like we are basically coming with parts of a puzzle, right?
Yeah.
Like, I got some of the pieces of the puzzle.
Facts.
You got some of the pieces of the puzzle.
And
then some of them we are missing. And some the audience is gonna have some.
Totally.
And the fact that like you're like putting together your part of the puzzle piece, and I'm like, yo, you know what? I actually have a puzzle piece that like fits into that. And then when it fits into that part of the puzzle, it's like the image becomes more clear and like more dots start to connect, and then the story starts to make more sense.
Nah,
which
totally.
I think is fire, because like I've never put that like 2 and 2 together in that way. But it's
see, and I think that's what it is about. It's about, like I said, Matthew Williams, Lady Gaga, worked for Kanye, was with Ben Trill, started Alix, creative director for Givenchy, and then. Now, if you look at like Beast Destroy and Givenchy had a collaboration last year.
Okay.
And how did that happen? It's like relationship building.
Yes.
Going back to that software update, it's all about sustaining relationships
and community.
And I think like the best thing on how to sustain a relationship is to just almost treat everyone as if they were a celebrity. Not assume.
Talk about it.
Or
wait, or is it the opposite where you just treat everybody like a person?
You treat everybody like a person, but you would also give them the grace as if they were a celebrity.
Yes. Well, okay.
Because I feel like we're so driven about celebrity culture, so maybe I'm like...
Yeah, so wait. Maybe I get the sentiment, though. The sentiment is like meeting somebody, because we were just saying that, right, before we started, was like there's the concept that like unless you're loud about what you do, you must not be doing anything, because everybody's loud about what they do who's doing something, right? And so, yeah, I think having like the humility to, it's really like on a deeper level. It's just like assuming that everybody you interact with has something to teach you.
And see, some people don't like that. Some people don't. It's like this, in that case, yeah, it's like I've noticed that some people don't like that. Some people think it's them being sunned.
Yeah, but
And
I think it's more like, I think sometimes it's like I've been in situations, you know, like relationship situations where you think you have all the answers, and then you realize like, wait, this person been telling me stuff and I haven't been listening, and now that I'm listening, my life's a little better, you know? Like there's something to like
totally.
there's something to being wrong and then admitting that you're wrong and being like, oh, you know what? My bad. Like I actually don't know everything. And like that humility and that like desire to like keep learning, which I think is also what the pod is about, right? Like sharing the codes is like, look, when you share something with me, it like I take it into my context, my lens, how the way I see the world, and then I build up on it, and then I return the idea, but it's like mutated, right? Like, okay, I remember this crazy thing I saw. It's actually not that crazy, but right now it is. It's like, if I have an apple and I give you an apple, like you have an apple and now I don't have any apples, right? But if I have an idea and I give you an idea, it's like now we got two ideas. You get what I'm saying? Because the idea that I gave you isn't going to land for you in your head the same way that it's landing for me in my head. Like you're going to take it and you're going to mutate it, and now we have more than we started with.
I can relate that to producing music.
Talk about it.
If
oh yeah, Josh produces music, by the way.
Yeah, I do a little music
He's about to
production.
do the intro. He hasn't done the intro yet. He's slacking. He didn't do his homework.
Oh my God! This is great.
This is
by the way, my name is Josh Allen. This is Jeremy Benson, and you are listening to Software Update provided by MOTH HTX.
Double click.
Yeah,
shout out to Moss. Shout out to Mason. He hooked it up.
Shout out to Mason.
We were vibing. We were talking about Donald Judd earlier.
It's like pull up and just straight talk about Donald Judd.
Donald Judd off the rip.
The rip.
I think we need all right, next season, Mason, when you're on the pod, we're going to talk about Donald Judd. We're going to talk about Frank Lloyd Wright.
Yeah, next season.
We need to talk about that moment at the beginning because, like, clearly there was something there.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that I just, like, randomly had that and you were on that wave, like.
Nah, like, it's great. Okay, so I want to talk about what I just told you as far as in, like, and this can, like, wrap up, like, the episode.
Yeah.
So, sharing the codes.
Yes.
Sharing the codes. You said 5 more minutes? Okay.
All right, we got it.
So yeah,
5 more minutes.
sharing the codes. It's like how I feel about beat production.
Mm-hmm.
If I gave you a beat pack, that had all the same snares, hi-hats, drums, melodies, and I gave 3 other people that same pack, everybody's beat will be different.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I think, and there's an art to that.
And wait, to bring it back, there are 2 types of people. There's the types of people that say, hey, if I got a beat pack and I share it, you gonna make the same song as me, and I don't want that, so I don't want to share my beat pack.
Totally. And I think that's just what Software Update is about. It's like we have information that we're still applying to our art careers.
Yes.
You being an architect, me being an artist.
Yeah.
But I'll call you an artist.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
You know, artist, architect, me, artist.
I mean, we're
designer.
also thinkers and writers and
and I think also I find myself like in this like really cool middle. Where I get to talk to people older than me and younger than me at the same time. When I feel like if we were like 22 right now, it would be like, what the hell does these young motherfuckers know? But see, it goes back to what V said, the youth will always win.
Yes.
And so this isn't for someone who feels like they have all the answers already.
Yes.
This is for someone who wants to know, I wouldn't say the answers, but they just want to know a perspective, a reputable.
They want to be a part of the conversation,
a reputable perspective. Yeah,
This is like when we're having those conversations at night, and people like look over and be like, "Yo, what are they talking about?" And then they hear what we're talking about. They're like, "Oh, wait a minute, I want to chime in. And like we end up having a conversation with like 4 or 5 people, hype as hell, in whatever place we're at, and like. we're talking about something that's like actually intriguing and thought provoking, and like we don't always agree. But the fact of the matter is like we've brought
we're getting it
perspectives.
going. And I
Yes.
think that's what my
Gets the
mission is
people
for
going.
being. Like that's my mission for being in Houston right now. It's like I don't want to go back to New York or go back to LA
Yes.
and try to fit in that identity,
Yes.
and now it doesn't feel honest to me.
Yeah.
Like being
Authenticity is crucial.
you know what I mean? And I think for me, every time I would leave Houston or leave Texas and I go somewhere, be it that it's here in the States or overseas, I would always come back home and be like, yo, why doesn't Houston feel like why doesn't it feel like where I just came from?
Mm-hmm.
And eventually it clicked. Oh, because you're not programming it, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
You're not getting the right people together to create this vision of what you're seeing. You can't expect for everyone to see what you've experienced.
Yes, and then and then not only that to see it, but like then you're taking it and you're synthesizing it and you're executing on it, right? Like input is one thing, but output is another.
It's all about the output.
What was it? What was the thing yesterday? The bar, Houston is.
Oh, and to
Milan is.
Milan is the Houston of Italy.
Software update.
Software update.